Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is Eric, your ranting co-host of Clutch Crew Sports here. I'd like to welcome you back to another episode. Glad to be back here, and to let you know, in today's episode, we are going to be doing a quarterback tier list for 2022. This is going to be based on how we feel the quarterbacks are performing so far at this season. So we'll explain a little bit more about that in a little bit. Uh, Good day for Zach and myself as the Jaguars beat the Chargers, the Vols beat the Gators. Sorry, Alan. But so good weekend for us in the football world. Now let me introduce you to the rest of the crew.
Yep, what's up, everybody? Zach here. Glad to be on this podcast. Might be one of my last few days with internet and electricity as I'm, bracing for a potential hurricane strike.
You sound like you're about to die or something.
I gotta let the world know if these are my last words. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, happy to be on for this episode and rank some quarterbacks all together. It's gonna be interesting.
And what's up, guys? It's Connor, the co-host with the most. Yeah, probably going to be missing Zach for the lockboard this week. But au contraire to Zach and Eric's football week, it's been a really terrible football weekend for me. The Steelers lost to the Browns. The App State blew a 28-3 lead over James Madison. UNC got destroyed by Notre Dame. And also, 3 of my 4 lockboard picks were either overtime losses or one-score losses that at the very end of the game. So really wanting to crawl into a hole football wise and, thinking that I just want to feeling like I just want to resign from the lockboard at this point, given that this stuff always happens to me where like I could have, if a couple things went the other way, I could have had a completely green week and instead I'm where I'm at. So, but hopefully this quarterback tier list will be better.
Yeah, and Connor also forgot to mention in the Clutch Crew Sports Fantasy League, I beat him, so that's another bad thing for Connor.
Oh, that's okay. I won. I won in the family league, so
Yeah, yeah. So obviously, like we got money in the family league, so that's
I'm still 2-1 in both leagues and like near the top of the list for points. So fantasy has been decent for me.
There you go. So all right, guys. Like I said, we're gonna go through all the quarterbacks that have played so far this season. We're gonna rank them. And like I said, this is based on how well they've done so far this season. So this doesn't mean their overall legacy or, based on what they've done throughout their whole career. This is just based on the first 3 weeks of the 2022 season. So
when you don't see Tom Brady in the S tier, don't come crying to us because we already gave you a disclaimer.
Yeah, I spoiler alert, yeah, he probably won't be there, but but so what we'll do is we'll just kind of go through them one at a time. We'll each give our ranking and then just kind of briefly discuss on why we then as a crew put the quarterback where we put them. So I believe Connor's got these in alphabetical order by last name. Is that correct? That's what it's looking like.
Yeah, it's kind of I don't know how that worked out. It's just this is the way that it decided to. Except for the last two. The last two are not alphabetical, but yeah. I guess tier
Prescott's near the. Oh no, they go like.
It's by team, maybe by team alphabetical.
Well, I remember when I initially made this template, I tried to do it by division, but then like Tier Maker just kind of spewed them out in a random order.
Yeah,
so
it actually looks like it's random because Josh Allen was first. That's what I thought, but
yeah,
anyways,
no,
go ahead.
Yeah, it's like they just kind of do it randomly because when I like added the image files, I added them in order of division, but like it just gave me a random order. So
okay, gotcha. And so we have the typical like tier list rankings: S tier for the best, and then A, B, C, D, F, and then at the bottom we've got some quarterbacks that haven't played yet, so we're not going to talk about them. But yeah, we'll get started with Josh Allen here. For me, I'm ranking him S. What about you, Zach?
S.
Yeah, same S.
Yeah, Connor, I know like you've got ties to the Bills, so explain why Josh Allen's up here.
Yeah, I mean, he's just been a monster all year long. I mean, 3 outstanding performances. Even though the Bills lost last week, he still threw for 400 yards, which is insane. Definitely that loss yesterday was not on him at all. He's looking like he's the front runner for MVP right now. You know, the Bills are Super Bowl favorites for a reason, and he's the main reason behind that. So he's definitely, in my opinion, like, you know, normally you want to save the best for last, but I think we've got the best for first right now. I think he's the best quarterback in the league right now, no question.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think that was a pretty easy one there. We're going to move on to Baker Mayfield, the new quarterback for the Panthers. I'm putting him C.
D.
D.
All right, so we'll go D, the majority. I had him a little higher, but Zach, why is Baker in the D tier here?
Yeah, obviously a new team, late in the offseason addition, doesn't know the offense very well, and it's showing. Really, just the Panthers' offense has been completely lackluster. Other than a big Laviska Shenault touchdown, I haven't seen a single Panthers offensive highlight all season. Just not a good start. I don't know if he'll end the season in this tier, but for right now, I've got to give him D tier.
Yeah, I guess that's another thing to mention too. It might be interesting or fun to, like, towards the end of the season, like, redo this and see, where quarterbacks move or something like that. But yeah, I could see him getting higher up. I do think he needs a little more time with the offense. I probably should have strictly gone more on that, but and Panthers fans, you're welcome for Laviska Shenault. So we're gonna move on to Tom Brady, who is obviously the GOAT, but 2022 has not been kind to him so far. I'm going to say C for Tom Brady.
C as well.
Yeah, I'm also going to say C tier.
Yeah, and honestly, he had a bit of a step up towards the end of the Packers game on Sunday, even though the Bucks still lost that game. It kind of looked like maybe we were starting to see the Tom Brady of old again. If that hadn't happened, I might have even put him in the D tier. Tampa's definitely been very reliant on the defense. That's obviously what's been carrying them. I know Connor mentioned this before. Like, it's kind of reminding him of like Peyton Manning's last season in Denver, where he wasn't very good, but the defense carried. And we're kind of in a similar thing here with Tom Brady. So Tom Brady in the C tier, but like we'll be saying with all these quarterbacks, it's only week 3, so they've got time to turn it around. Next, we're going to go to Jacoby Brissett, who's starting for the Browns right now.
Brisket.
Yeah. Like for half a second, I was like, wait, did I say it wrong? Oh, no. Okay. Obviously, he's filling in for Deshaun Watson while he's got the suspension going. He's actually been doing pretty well, so I'm going to rate him B tier.
C.
I'm also going to say B tier.
All right, so majority goes with B. Connor, this is one of your divisional rivals here. Explain why you've got him in the B tier.
Yeah, I definitely can see Zach's argument for putting him in the C tier because I do think a fair amount of his success is definitely due to the Browns' run game. Because like Nick Chubb he's been over 100 yards in every game so far this year. Kareem Hunt, of course, is also really good as well. So it definitely opens things up for him. But he hasn't been the reason why the Browns have lost any of these games like that they lost. They were they're 1-2 right now. No, they're
2-1
now. So he wasn't right. Yeah, he was the reason why they lost to the Jets. He the reason why the Panthers were able to almost beat them. He's been really performing at a high level so far. And like I said, most of that's probably due to the run game, but stats are stats and wins are wins. So I got to give him credit for right now. Don't think he'll stay here, honestly, but this is where he's at for now.
Yeah, he's definitely overperforming for now. We'll see if that continues. Next is going to be Joe Burrow, who's just in the Super Bowl last year, but not off to the hottest of starts this year. I'm going to say C tier.
B.
This is a tough one, but I'm gonna go with B just because I think he really did better after that first week.
Okay. For me, I said C just because his first game was terrible. He had the 4 interceptions. I know he was harassed by TJ Watt a lot of that game, but still really bad in week 1, and then really in week 2 against Dallas. didn't play that great in that game either, but it looked like he's starting to turn it around against the Jets. So I can last week, so I can see the argument for B tier. I think he's starting to turn it around. So I can see why you guys picked that. We will now move on to the Las Vegas Raiders. And we got Derek Carr, my backup quarterback in fantasy football. He hasn't been doing as good as I was hoping he would do, getting Devontae Adams and everything. I'm going to say C tier.
D.
I'm going to go with C tier.
All right. So Connor, you agreed with me on that one. Why Derek Carr in the C tier?
Yeah, he hasn't been the best. You know that, like, for the most part in these first few games, the Raiders have been playing like better competition as well. So I'm trying not to knock him too much for not having as great a performances, because he hasn't necessarily been terrible. But I do think one of his problems right now is he's trying too hard to force the ball to Devontae Adams. Like, I know you want to get him the ball. He's, one of the best receivers in the league, but when you're trying to force him the ball all the time, especially when you've got other great targets like Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller out there, like, you've got other people that you can be getting the ball to. And that was one of Cam Newton's problems when he had Kelvin Benjamin in Carolina. Like, he tried to force it to him all the time, and that's why Cam didn't perform as well. So he just needs to clean that up. Like, I know the Raiders are the only winless team left in the league right now, but I definitely don't expect that trend to continue.
Yeah, if you had told me who would be the last team to win the game and that it would be the Raiders, I would have said you're crazy. But here we are. Next, my personal favorite quarterback, Kirk Cousins of the Minnesota Vikings. Been a bit up and down so far. It's a little bit hard for me to rank him on this one, but I'm gonna say C.
I'm gonna go B.
I'm gonna go C tier.
All right. Let's see. I haven't gone to Zach in a minute, even though Zach, you were in the minority on this one. But can you see why Connor and I went with C tier here, or are you pretty firm on the B?
I'm pretty firm on the B. I mean, I'll just say, it's up and down, but their offense, I think, their Kevin O'Connell, I think he's just making him look a lot better. Week 2 they had that setback against the Eagles. The Eagles are a real good defense, so I didn't put too much stock into that. I just think B is right about where he is. I mean, B's not lighting the world on fire. People, keep that in mind. So
yeah, it was just hard for me. It was just hard for me because, like, he had that really down performance against Philly, but then led the comeback against the Lions. Like, I've seen like the ups and downs of Kirk Cousins, so I had a hard time predicting that one.
I just can't get past that awful. I just can't get past that. I was saying I just can't get past that awful Monday night performance. Like, that was really, really bad.
Yeah, if he throughout the season has more of the good performances over the bad ones like that game, I would be willing to move him up later in the season. I just for now have to have him at C. Now we got Dak Prescott. This will probably be a pretty quick one. He got injured in the first game, played pretty poorly in the first game. Susan, this isn't for my ranking of him for his career, just for this season. I'm saying F. Don't hate me, Susan, please. Okay.
I mean, it's hard to rank this because he's not playing.
He's only played the one game, but I mean, he only played the one game and he was bad in it, so that's why I have to say F. This is just for now. So
okay, I'm more generous than you, Eric. I'll say C.
I'll give him a D as, like, to be a little bit more generous because he was playing Tampa, who's got a good defense. So
yeah, but yeah,
so I guess we're gonna. I guess we'll split.
No denying he was bad though, but since he only played in the one game, I don't want to spend too much time on him.
Yeah, we'll just split the middle on the ranking here since we did CDF.
So we'll put him in the middle at D. That's fine. And then Davis Mills is next. And speaking of D tier, that's where I'm going to put him.
I'll go C tier.
I'll also go D tier.
Yeah, for me, I'm sure Zach isn't too upset with me for saying D tier on this one with him being on the Texans, but he's looked okay at times, but Just overall, just he hasn't been able to get it done. Got off to a good start against Indy in week 1, but wasn't able to close that game out. They got shut down in the second half by a Colts defense who hasn't been amazing so far, although they did do better against the Chiefs last week. Struggled against Denver, only got 9 points, and then had that really bad interception in the game against the Bears with a chance to go down and win the game, which ultimately gave the Bears the game. So I just struggle to put Davis Mills any higher than that. And then now, speaking of the Bears, who the Texans just played, we've got Justin Fields up next, and he hasn't been very good. I'm gonna say D tier.
I'll go with C.
I'm saying F.
Ooh, okay, well we'll put him at D then. So we're all pretty split on this. Zach, why do you have him higher than the rest of us?
I mean, so if you're looking at this as just a passing aspect, I would agree with D or F, but his legs and his mobility, the ability to make a 3rd and 20 and run for like 45 yards, that to me takes him out of that D or F tier. None of those other quarterbacks are doing that. That's something special. So that's why I would go with C. But
I mean,
Connor, why the F?
I was going to say my only problem with, his ability with his legs and being able to, get that, 4th to 45-yard run on 3rd and 20, he really doesn't have that great of rushing stats through, 3 games either. I mean, like, he had a pretty good game against Houston, averaging 6 yards a carry, but, like, his rushing stats against Green Bay and San Francisco were putrid, and his passing stats have also been putrid. Like, the Bears have been 100% carried by defense and the run game so far. He has not contributed at all to their wins.
Yeah, he's one I'd definitely like to see more out of going forward, but it's only a second year, early on in the second year, so we'll see what Fields can do going forward. Then next, we have Russell Wilson's replacement. And Seattle, good old Geno Smith. Another one that's been a little up and down, but he has been doing better than what I expected. Beginning of the season, I would have thought I would be putting him in F tier, but I'll put him in C tier.
yeah, I'll go C as well.
I'll agree with that, C tier.
All right. Yeah. Been a little up and down, but did just enough to get the dub in week 1 against the Broncos. I know Nathaniel Hackett helped with that, but he did his part for the team, and almost led him to that victory against the Falcons. He looked much more comfortable in that game than he did in the first couple games. So, solid C tier ranking for Geno Smith. Like I said, I expected to put him in the F if those were my preseason expectations for him. And then another one that's been surprising me so far, playing pretty well, is going to be Jared Goff of the Lions, who's up next. I'm going to go B tier.
Yeah, I'll go B as well.
I'm going to say A tier, but he's going to stick in the B for now.
Okay. Yeah, I know, Zach, you did the Lions season preview, and you gave the Lions a lot of hype. And so what's your reasoning here? And just give us an analysis on Goff's performance.
Yeah, it's been really good. He hasn't let the team down too much. The playmakers are obviously great. This is where you don't want to completely just look at the stats because you see Amon-Ra St. Brown, on a 50-yard catch, get all 50 yards, screen pass for 50 yards or whatever. Like, that's my only thing with him is, I want to see more, and this is after these first 3 weekends, but it's not like we are completely blind to how they've been in the past and stuff. So, we don't have a complete focus on this. So because, he doesn't have the greatest history, that's why I'm going with B. But still been pretty good.
Yeah, I have a Jared Goff on a season-long free entry that I got on Prize Picks, and he has to throw over 24 touchdowns by the end of the season for me to hit that, and he's already got 7. So Jared Goff, thank you for that. I'm very happy with that so far. Next is going to be Justin Herbert on the Chargers. Had a pretty good start, but then had that rib injury. Looked really bad against the Jaguars on Sunday. I'm, though, going to not worry about that performance too much, but I can't put him too high. I'm going to go B tier.
I'm going to go A.
I'm also going to go A tier.
All right, Connor, why Herbert in the A tier?
I mean, Yeah, I'm not going to put too much in that performance because he was playing hurt, and like the other two games against the Raiders and the Chiefs, he was outstanding. So, even against the Chiefs when after the rib injury, he still played. I mean, he had that interception late in the game, but for the most part, he's been really good. And honestly, had it not been for him getting that rib injury in last week, he'd probably be up there with Josh Allen for MVP contenders right now. So, I think it's pretty solid putting him in the A tier. Hopefully he comes back strong because he's really fun to watch.
Yeah, that pick six against the Chiefs was what prevented me from putting him higher. I think if he completes that touchdown and they win that game, I definitely would have him in A, I think. But that bad decision was costly for them. But overall, like I'm not, mad or in strong disagreement with the ranking choice there. Next is going to be Jalen Hurts. I have him as my starter in our family league. He's been doing really well this year. I'm ranking him in the S tier.
This is tough, but I'll go A.
I'm going to agree with Eric and put him in the S tier.
Yeah, as the person that has him on my fantasy team, I paid a lot of close attention to him. Kind of like what Zach talked about with Fields, with the ability to get it done with his legs. I mean, he's been amazing at that, but he's also been pretty sharp as a passer this year. He's definitely been improving upon that. I mean, the weapons overall that Philly has brought in is definitely helping that, but he's taking advantage of it and getting the job done. So, yeah, I felt pretty strong putting him in the S tier there. Next up is going to be good old Jimmy G. He filled in for Trey Lance when Trey got hurt in week 2, played the rest of the game against Seattle, had the Monday night game against Denver, or Sunday night game against Denver, I'm sorry. Hasn't been amazing, but hasn't played a lot yet. I'm going to go C tier.
I'm going to go F tier.
Connor?
A D tier.
D tier right in the middle. Okay. Yeah, for me, it's just a little too early to tell. He did okay against Seattle, like good enough to win that game. That's why I didn't put him too low, but obviously the Denver game wasn't very good. I think if he'd played like he did against Denver against Seattle, I would have said F, but Zach, what's up, Connor?
I was going to say he definitely bailed out Dan Orlovsky doing the running out of the back of the end zone. He's not the Orlovsky's not the only quarterback that's done that anymore.
True. I should have lowered him down a tier just for that. That play was really
bad. I mean, the 49ers should have won that game if it wasn't for him. Like that's my thing is like he's active. Like his only 2 games he's played, he's actively caused them to lose one. Whereas like if you have a 99% of these other quarterbacks, they probably would win that game. So that's why I gotta put him in the F. But
yeah. Even though I said C, I don't hate the grade there. And then we got Danny Dimes. Daniel Jones is up next. Now we're recording this on Monday before the Monday night game between the Giants and Cowboys. So we're evaluating this based off of just 2 weeks of play. But the Giants are 2-0, but he hasn't been necessarily like lighting it up. But so I'm gonna go C tier.
I'll go B tier.
I'm gonna agree with Eric and go C tier.
Ooh, got that. Connor and I have been agreeing all night this time. We've been starting to have our differences lately on some topics. So we've been pretty much in agreement tonight. But Zach, you had him a little bit higher.
It's when all 3 of us are here. I have to disagree with Zach more often.
Yeah, for sure.
I can't remember the last one we've all agreed on though, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, Josh Allen.
Yeah, Josh Allen.
Actually, I think Tom Brady was the last one.
Oh yeah, we all said C on Tom Brady, so that's 2 out of all these so far.
But that was like the third quarterback. So
exactly.
Yeah. So Zach, why the love for Danny Dimes here?
I mean, people don't like to say it, but like the team's winning. He's doing his part. He's not making as many mistakes, playing clean, sound football. 2-0, one of the only, like I said, this game hasn't started yet, but they're only one of a handful of undefeated teams left. So that's why I'd go B.
Gotcha. All right, Nick, I guess we need to go a little more lightning round on some of these.
Yeah.
We got Kyler Murray up next. I'm kind of debating on this one, but I'm gonna go B.
I'll go C.
I'm gonna say C as well.
Okay. Yeah, there's been a little bit of up and down on him, but that comeback win against the Raiders was really good. But of course, wasn't able to get any touchdowns against the Rams in the last game. So I can see the ranking for that. Up next, we've got Lamar Jackson, and I'm going S tier.
S tier.
Yeah,
All right.
easy S tier.
We all agree. All agree. Connor, another divisional rival for you here. This one is in the S tier. Give us your thoughts on Lamar.
Yeah, well, he's my starting fantasy quarterback in the family league, so he's been doing well for me. He's just been fantastic. I mean, obviously that loss against the Dolphins was not his fault. That was definitely on the defense. You know, he did everything he could to win that game. He was like the first quarterback in NFL history to have like a passing like it was like three passing touchdowns and like 100 yards rushing in the first 3 games or something in each one of those games. So he's definitely up there with Allen as an MVP front runner right now.
Yeah, I like where we've got our list because I think the 3 in the S tier are definitely the most like MVP favorites so far. So we may not be fully agreeing on everything, but we've agreed on the S tier for the most part. So next is Trey Lance. Very shortened season for him. Won't spend a lot of time on him, but I'll just say D.
I'll go F.
I'm also gonna say F.
Yeah, I just tried not to go too hard on that just because of the heavy rain in the first game and getting hurt early in the second game, but he definitely wasn't lighting it up or anything before the injury, so not going to hate on the rankings. Next is Mac Jones of the Patriots. He got hurt at the end of their game against Baltimore, so not sure what his status is going to be going forward, but throughout the first 3 games, I'm going to give Mac Jones a C.
Yep, C.
I would say D, but C tier it is.
Wow, Connor, just talked about how we've agreed on everything, and then we have a disagreement there. But yeah, I mean, he's been average, but in the games that the Patriots have won, it's not necessarily been because of him, and he struggled in that Week 1 game against Miami, so definitely wasn't going to rate him high or anything.
He also had 3 picks last week, so that's why I put him in the D tier. I know he was playing a little bit hurt, but like 3 picks is not good.
Yeah, can't be mad at that. Next up, we've got Patrick Mahomes. I'm gonna go A tier on him.
I'll go S tier.
I'm gonna go A tier on Mahomes.
Yeah, just had a little bit of a weaker game against the Colts. I thought for sure he was gonna carve them up and go crazy on them, but had a little bit of a weaker game there, but obviously had a great Week 1 against Arizona and a pretty solid Week 2 against the Chargers and got the dub there. So Patrick Mahomes, even though the Colts game was a little bit of a downer, that's why I didn't put him in the S, but overall been pretty good. So all right, now we'll go to Marcus Mariota, another one that's been doing better than I thought that they would do. Debating, I'll go B tier on Mariota.
Yeah, I'll go B.
Yeah, it's a tough one, but I'll go B as well on Mariota.
All right, all in agreement. Yeah, I was debating between B and C. Zach, what made you choose B?
Yeah, I mean, the Falcons have been competitive. They really should have beat the Saints. That's why when you look at things now, they very easily could be 2-1. So that's why I think he's delivered, met expectations, done a little bit better with this bad offense. In my opinion, he's making things happen.
Yeah, now Mariota, I put you in the B tier. I could have put you in the C tier, but I do have Kyle Pitts at 4.5 touchdowns for the season over that. So I need you to get him some touchdowns, please. So otherwise, you will drop in the rankings. Next, we got Josh Allen. I mean, Mitch Trubisky with his Bills picture on there. Connor, this is your QB, so I'm just going to let you flat out rank this one.
Yeah, he's taking a nice little trip over to the D tier here.
Yeah, and what's your explanation?
Yeah, I mean, because I know a lot of the Steelers trying to say like, oh, don't hate on them too much. Like, the O-line still isn't great and the play calling hasn't been great. And I'm like, I get that. Like, I know the O-line's been better. They haven't been great. And, the play calling has been a little bit conservative, but what really tells me that he's not been playing well is all the receivers on the team are frustrated. Johnson's frustrated, Pickens is frustrated, Clay. Like whenever your receivers are frustrated, that's telling me that you're not seeing them when they're open, and you're just not making your reads the way you're supposed to. Too many dump offs, too many just standing in the pocket too long. I know Tomlin's not going to move on from him right now, but it really needs to be Kenny Pickett time in Pittsburgh right now because receivers are not happy.
Yeah, you definitely don't want your wide receivers frustrated. That's for sure. All right, moving on to the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers got off to a terrible start, but played a bit better over these last couple weeks. I'm gonna say B tier for Rodgers.
Yep, I'll go B as well.
I will make it a trifecta and agree B tier.
Ooh, all right, Zach, give us your explanation on Rodgers.
Yeah, definitely a step down from the past 2 years, in my opinion. It's just not there. Their offense just isn't, I think, built like that, like they were a few years ago. So, he's not making them lose games, but he's also not playing at that MVP standard to have them looking real dominant and scary in the NFC. So that's why I'm going with B.
Yeah, I can see that 100%. Up next, another veteran quarterback, struggling as well, kind of like in the Brady and Rodgers area here. We got Russell Wilson. Um, I hate to do this, but I'm gonna say D.
I'll go C.
Yeah, this is a really tough one. I'm gonna agree with Eric and say D tier. Like he hasn't been super terrible, but like he really should be playing better with all the weapons that Denver has.
Yeah, I mean, I know his coach sucks and everything, but like you said, they've got a lot of good weapons. They've got good running backs, good receivers.
Great defense,
Yeah, good defense. I mean, the defense has been carrying them, and yet they still just this. They're lucky to be 2-1. I mean, they're not 2-1 because of him, like that's for sure. So, okay, we got the veteran quarterbacks rolling out here. Some of these next few here, we got a good old Matt Ryan of the Indianapolis Colts. Also kind of struggling. Like, did manage to do just enough to help the Colts beat the Chiefs, but had an okay game week 1 against the Texans. Obviously, did terrible against our Zach and mine's Jags, but I'm kind of debating between C or D. I'm gonna go D.
Yep, this is easy for me, D.
Yeah, the performance against the Chiefs saves him from the F tier, honestly.
Yeah, I like that analysis. Cause I would say, because if he did just as bad against the Chiefs as he did against the Jags, he was going to be in the F. But
yeah, because he was really bad week 1 against Houston too. So, but he did perform well last week, so that saves him.
He's managing to stay, treading in the waters right now. So, all right, next up, another veteran quarterback. Also not playing spectacularly is Matthew Stafford. I'm going to go C. I almost said D, but I'm going to go C.
Well, I'll go D for you, Eric.
All right, Connor.
Well, I'm
going to
agree.
Or go
I'm going to
else.
agree with Eric and say C tier.
Yeah, he's been doing to compare
like
to
the Rams are 2-1, so
Yeah, I mean to compare him to Matt Ryan, and Russell Wilson, like who we just talked about, I do think he's playing a little bit better than them. Not by much, but I can't put him in the D tier yet. But if he keeps playing like he's been doing,
he could be headed there.
Yeah, for sure. All right, and then next up on the list is going to be Allen's drafted quarterback Ryan Tannehill. Obviously he had that miserable game against Buffalo, but he's managed to be okay in the other 2 games. So I'll say C tier.
Yep, I'll go C as well.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Yeah, Zach, he's our rival. So any thoughts on Tannehill?
Yeah, the Bills game, that's clearly the best defense in the league. So take that with, on the road. Other than that, it's not been great, but it's also not been completely terrible. There's other factors going on in Tennessee, I think, that's leading to them not doing well at the start of the season. So That's why I'll go with C.
Derrick Henry's doesn't look like his usual self.
Yep.
Yeah, and thanks a lot, Raiders, for not getting the job done against them. The Giants and the Bills did it, but not y'all. So I'm disappointed in you guys. Come on.
Clearly they're just gonna, as long as they're not playing any New York-based team, they're doing fine.
Yeah. Next up is going to be Zach and mine's boy Trevor Lawrence. I let Connor do the rating for Trubisky, so Zach, I'll give you the rating for Trevor and explanation.
Try not to be biased.
Wow.
Say S tier. You're not good.
No, I obviously you can't not be biased, but I'm gonna go with A tier from what I've seen.
Okay, I'll agree with that. I was worried you were gonna say S tier. I'm like, don't say that. Like, he's been good, but not that good.
No,
Like,
I mean, I might have said S if he was sharp on some of those incompletions in week 1, but these last 2 weeks, especially with the Chargers, I mean, that's a good defense that he carved up. Really, really efficient, accurate. Haven't seen too many punts. It's a combination of things with everything going good with the Jaguars, but Trevor, he looks like the real deal. He looks like he's the number 1 draft pick, and it's amazing how bad Urban Meyer really was when you look at this.
Yeah, I was just about to say, it's amazing what happens when you actually have a good coach that knows how to call plays and come up with schemes and stuff like that.
Urban liar.
Oh. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, if he had been able to get that comeback drive against Washington in week 1 and not have that bad interception and lead us to that win, he could have had a case for S tier. But based on if we were doing these same rankings this time last year, he would have been at the bottom. So obviously this is a lot better. Zach and I are very happy with that. And then next up from the Miami Dolphins, I'm going to let Connor say the last name. We've got Tua
Tagovailoa.
Okay. I always get that wrong for some reason, but this is another one, like a few other quarterbacks I've talked about that have really surprised me. Definitely been doing a lot better than I expected. And so I'm going to go A tier on Tua.
Yep, I'll go A as well.
Yeah, definitely A tier. That game against Buffalo or against Baltimore, that was a little bit of a aberration there, because the other 2 games he's kind of just been average. So, but that game against Baltimore, he was amazing. So,
yeah, I agree with Connor's analysis there perfectly. I thought going into the season that Tua was going to be what would hold the Dolphins back, but the Dolphins are 3-0, and and he's helping them. Excuse me, he's helping them get the job done. So very impressed with Tua so far. We'll see if he keeps that up. Now we've got another quarterback that's on a new team this season, Carson Wentz of the Commanders. Had a great game against the Jags week 1, and especially looking at how the Jags have played the rest of the season, definitely got to give him credit for that game. Hasn't played as well, though, the last 2 weeks. So I'm going to go C.
I'll go D, actually.
Oh, I'm going B tier.
You said B tier?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll have him mixed in the middle. For me, he's been up, he's been down, so that's why I have him in the C, just kind of right in the middle here. But Connor, why the love for Carson Wentz?
Well, he didn't do as well in week 2. He actually did pretty well in week 2. He was still around 100 quarterback rating, over 300 yards. It was really just last week that pulled him down for me. If he had a better performance last week, I would have actually put him. If he had performed last week the way he performed week 1 and 2, he might have had a case for A tier for me. Because against the Jags and against Detroit, he was really good, despite the fact they lost the game against Detroit. It was more so Washington's defense. It was more so Washington's defense that lost that game.
The problem with week 2 for me was the numbers were good, but the Lions were up big early in the game, and so I don't know. I worry some of those numbers might have been the Lions playing off coverage a bit, and that, because for me that game wasn't as close as it looked really. And then the Eagles game, of course, was bad the whole time. But Zach, you got him down in the D. Why so harsh on Carson?
Yeah, that's the thing. Is I look at his week 1 as a once in a lifetime sort of deal. His week 1 performance was, because it even wasn't great. He had those really bad interceptions. I think he threw 2 interceptions that week. Really bad interceptions. I think there was another one.
Those were Carson Wentz interceptions.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I think there was another one possibly that was dropped or could have been. And then, but I give him credit for that. But then after that, like Eric said, that week 2, I feel like a lot of it was garbage time stuff. And then week 3, I had more expectations for them than a lot of people did, but that was just so bad. I think now we're starting to get the true Carson Wentz, which, is D tier in my opinion. So
yeah, so
definitely. I will say I will say slightly in his defense, in the Philadelphia game, he was sacked 9 times in that game, so his bad performance was not necessarily all his fault. So I will give him a little bit of defense there.
The Commanders' O-line needs to step up, but definitely we were definitely split on that one. Next up is going to be Jameis Winston. I liked how he led the comeback against the Falcons in week 1, but since then he's been pretty bad. I know he's hurt too, though, so I try to not place too much on that. But unfortunately, Saints fans, I do have to put Jameis Winston in the D tier.
I'm going F.
I'm going to go F tier as well.
And so I was the Saints fans. Just remember, I was the more generous one.
Sorry, Seth. I know you like to watch our videos, but I don't think Seth really likes him that much either. So
yeah, Zach, why the F on Winston here?
I'm giving him the F because he's had only one good quarter of play this year. That was that 4th quarter in the week 1. Other than that, it's been F every quarter if I were to grade
Especially that game against Tampa. That was god awful.
Yeah, and I guess just what's so crazy for me with this is, like, he was actually playing pretty well before his injury last year when he had, like, no weapons. And then this year, they got Michael Thomas back from injury. They bring in Jarvis Landry. They draft Olave in the 1st round. They've got all these guys around him now, and he's playing worse. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, hey, maybe he'll get better because Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry are set to both miss some time. So, with injuries now. So maybe he'll play better.
This is his chance. But, all right. And then next up, we've got Dak Prescott's backup who, played in the week 2 game against the Bengals, did just enough to get the job done. We have not seen his week 3 game yet against the Giants, so we can't grade based on that. But based on how he did in the Bengals game, did pretty solid, but just enough to get the job done, but wasn't amazing. I'm going to go C.
Yeah, I'll go C as well.
Yeah, I'll go C. Kind of hard to rank him since we've only seen 1 game of him.
Yeah, pretty middle of the pack so far for him. We'll see if he can. But again, that's better. Like some of these other guys, though, that's better than how I thought he would do. Like when I found out Cooper Rush was going to have to take over, I was like, oh, he's going to be in the F tier. So he's doing better than I thought because from what I've seen of him before, it was not good. We are down to the final quarterback, and that is going to be Super Bowl winning Joe Flacco.
Flacco Seagulls.
Flacco Seagulls. Another one though that's been better than I expected. When Zach Wilson went down and Flacco was stepping in, I was like, man, the Jets are not gonna win a game. But he led that great comeback against the Browns, but also been kind of up and down as well. So I can't go too high on him. I'm gonna go C.
I'll go D.
Yeah, I'll go C. That performance against Cleveland elevates him to the C tier.
Yeah, if it weren't for that, like if he didn't have that hot comeback against them, yeah, it definitely would have been D.
Yeah, I agree.
But all right, guys, so this is our tier list overall. If you're listening on Anchor or something, I would recommend going over to YouTube so you can look at this because I'm not gonna repeat where we have all 32.
Or write it down on a piece of paper so that way you can follow along.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, overall, I think the rankings are pretty fair. We've got a couple of elite at the top. We got 3 up there. A couple of Fs, and then everything else kind of fills out pretty evenly. So I mean, overall, I think we did a pretty solid job ranking these. So definitely, let us know down in the comments below, like what you think about our rankings. Where did we rank your favorite quarterback? Do you agree with it? Disagree with it? We love to interact. So let us know your thoughts on that. And we definitely got more content coming out. Connor's got his NHL videos. And then
Atlantic Division dropping on Wednesday.
Atlantic Division is next. Okay, yeah, I was going to ask you which division was next. And then I'm waiting on this banger from Zach that's coming out about Kevin Durant. Like
it'll come out.
As one of the biggest KD haters out there. I'm definitely looking forward. All I know is I'm not going to spoil it, but I do know what the title of the video is. So like, I kind of know where Zach's going with it, but I don't fully know. So I'm excited for that. So stay tuned for all the future content. And then Zach, I will let you do the outro here.
Yep, guys, if you've heard us before, but I'll repeat it again like we repeat at the end of every episode. Remember, everything you're doing in life, be clutch at it.
Bye.
Ooh, please.